to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rational Investors Daily Brief. I was wondering what I was going to look like on camera here. I'm in my house coat. I got a bit of a chill here today. I'm not really feeling too well. So pardon my snuggy downness, but I suppose one of the good things about us living in this digital crazy world is we don't really have to look very pretty on a daily basis. We just have to act pretty, right? Anyway. Yeah, a bit of an odd day. We did have opening range trades this morning. I kind of fat fingered the trade. I was a little messed up because it was such a large range. And yeah, I kind of put myself in the penalty box, but I was able to take 19 ticks from the crude market. So I suppose that's some small consolation. But as you can see, holy crap, a huge meltdown in crude oil prices here today. This is the crude chart and the US oil ETF. So kind of an adventure this morning, but you can see, holy moly, crude oil is just falling off a cliff here. And good old Foggenbombs, I think we can comfortably suggest that $63 a barrel is probably in our near future, which is interesting too. Like, stocks were trying to start the day a little bit stronger first thing this morning, but you can see they're kind of stuck in a malaise right now. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think my trading partner buddy, he got off a short on this stock market. A little bit of a fat finger, but it actually worked in his favor. So lucky bastard. But anyway, interesting to see the gold is the only market that's really up at all here today, and there's the crude down a whopping 4%. Just looking like it's about to fall off a cliff here. I suppose we could also do things like just draw really simple trend channels. Give us an idea where floors are. Yeah, so not a big surprise. We're just out in open air here in free fall. And if, the funny thing is that first thing this morning, we were short. But as I said, I kind of fat fingered the trade, demon finder, probably entry. And then we had the market move back to entry. So it should have been stopped at scratch anyway. But wow, look at that move lower, eh? And I was kind of thinking maybe I'd hunt for some sort of reversal, but you can see just no break in the bearish structure, just kept melting down. Don't even really have any confirmed bullish divergences. My rule is I want to see trade location, then I want to see indicator confirmation. So I want to see bull divs confirmed on MACD. I want to see Willie is stupidly oversold, which it looks like it is. And if anything, now we're finally getting some W's coming in on RSI. So after this M here. So maybe we'll be at the start of some sort of pivot low. I did notice that, when I load up my screen in the morning, I always draw up trade location. And the only thing I have to work with, I suppose there's a little fog and bomb here, but that's actually negated on this move up top here. But the only thing really that's a reason is we are now at ATR levels. So on average, this is the extent of the moves of late. But that's only one reason. And I mean, you can see it's just this melting down here. And why? I think the primary reason, if there is one, is the Fed has been talking quite a bit about wanting to have monetary policy restrictive And I think we're finally getting to the point where monetary policy is having that restrictive um, um, effect on the economy. And now the the talking heads right across the board are, well, 2024, you should expect deflation. If anything, that would be great. Would love to see things like house prices fall, but unfortunately, the housing, it's about one of the only assets that actually, well, that's not necessarily true. Stock market actually is right up near the top end of its trading range, threatening to break out to new highs. And of course, your beloved Bitcoin is now basically at 52-week highs, I suppose. So what's it going to take to actually bring these asset prices back down to earth? Whether it be housing, whether it be Bitcoin, whether it be US stock market. The irony of it all is the only thing that is coming down is things like in the economy and things like the job market. They're finally getting in front of this. So, so I mean, the end result usually, of course, is that the stock market melts down, the stock market breaks, and everybody, of course, in our society is heavily leveraged towards the stock market. And I suppose you could argue housing market as well. And that's what causes the Fed to go, okay, we've overdone it. Time to start lowering rates and all that kind of talk. I'd be curious to see whether there is political pressure on these bankster crooks to actually lower interest rates over the next 6-8 months. But as long as the stock indexes are just fluttering near all-time highs, I don't see how the Feds can do that. And you can see the Bank of China here met today, and of course they've basically held rates steady. The inflation problem in China is just an absolute nightmare here. And I don't really see any relief anywhere in sight. If anything, it's great to see that the leader of the opposition, sort of more conservative guy, is going to make these liberals. And what's so ironic is that the people that are actually in control of the Canadian government theoretically are the people that should be on the workers' side of the equation, should be sort of the more, where we represent the working class. And ironically enough, these politicians are actually destroying the working class's standard of living. It's fascinating how this works. I mean, it's exactly opposite. Like, is this bizarro world? And what I find fascinating is that nobody in society is holding, like, there's this the leader of the socialist camp here in Canada. His name's Jagmeet or something like that, and nobody is saying boo about the fact that working class is getting absolutely destroyed now that we have actually just a horrendous homeless problem in Canada, which we never had generations ago. And nobody is saying boo to the socialist political leader who's basically culpable for all of this. He's right in bed with the fucking toilet water doofus. Nobody's holding these guys to account. It's fascinating what's going on. When I was probably around your guys' age, like Chris, my buddy here, when I was his age, we used to have things in Canada called rent controls, where landlords weren't allowed to jack the rents up through the roof. Why has that disappeared? And what's so funny, like I said, is, like here, the local government in British Columbia, it is basically a socialist government. And yet there's no talk of rent controls anywhere. It's like, what the hell is going on? The socialists are actually rampant capitalists now. It's baffling. And then, poor old fucking working class. What happens next election when we run these communists out of power and they put the conservatives in there, and the conservatives who are business oriented and business centered? What's going to happen to Joe working class schlub in that kind of environment? I think the inflation problem is going to get 10 times worse. You can't write better fiction than reality. I'll tell you that much, by crackers. So there's your backdrop. I mean, the economic data is not good for Joe Sixpack, and yet stock market doesn't even really seem to care. It's just sort of, so what? Business as usual. Um, I don't know whether, like I said, I'm feeling a little bit bitchy here today. What's actually kind of cool is in the after party today, we're actually going to have our level 4 instructor, Zack, on the call. And geez, some of his ideas of late have just been killing it. Let's see if I can show you. He, ironically enough, and actually this is the perfect thing to do at this particular part of the cycle, if the Feds have sort of, sent interest rates to their peaks, is you actually should be buying the financial stocks. And this is one of his ideas recently. And look at that pretty bottom. And this bull call spread here, he'll tell us a little bit about how that trade's gone. But I get the impression, actually, yeah, you got a microphone, Zach. You want to tell these people in the public, are you making money on this trade idea? I think,
Hey Brian. Yeah,
hey,
I got a mic. Yeah, I've got all my money back. I've got around 33% profit on the books, and I've got contracts still on that. If if we get a move up to fill that gap, I'll have hit an 8-1.
well, there you go. Merry freaking Christmas. That's a Hawaiian Christmas for you, right? And
Yep.
then we had our stock pickers club meeting last night, and basically the same logic. But I don't know whether you got in on this trade, but
I did not.
our stock picker club aficionado David, he identified this inverted head and shoulders. He did a bull call spread trade on this bad boy, and he's also swimming in money. So our stock pickers are there's the spread trade. I thought I had it on the screen here. Really pretty spread anyway, and so it's marching away. And I think David said that he got off a free trade last night. But I tell you, anybody who knows how to play this market and play it correctly, Jesus, there's tons of money to be made here. So way to go, TRIers. And as I said in the after party show here today, Zach's going to come and talk to us a little bit about bull call spreads and his spread trading. So, congratulations on those wins, TRIers. Good to see. And actually, there's tons of these bottoms all over the place. Look at this little cute little one. So I'm long off this double bottom. And you can see, gee whiz, he's getting ready to rock and roll. I mean, there's just tons of these bottoms all over the place here. So it looks to me, and this is probably a perfect analogy of buy when it snows, and this stuff will all sort of grind its way higher into the spring, sell when it goes. Here's another one. This is another 3D printing stock. Look at that. I mean, that's basically everything that I teach all of you to try and hunt for. So stocks, geez, they're looking very, very bottomy here, heading into the holiday season. Um, Usually they say that this time of year there's usually a bit of a pullback, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of the major indexes actually do go through a bit of a correction here, just because the first sort of week or two of the month of December, we have this irrational exuberance. That was the famous speech in 1996 by Alan Greenspan. That was actually on the 6th of December. Actually, interesting. Look how close we are to that. So don't be surprised. And, you should all look at this chart and go, gee whiz, that sure looks like some sort of M up there. So don't be surprised if there is a bit of a pullback here in the broader market. And, I'm sort of left here scratching my head. I mean, yes, it does look like, on sort of higher time frames, we got some pretty nasty bearish targets. But I'm kind of left scratching my head here why the crude oil market is dropping as much as it is, other than the fact that Vladdy is theoretically doing some sort of Mid-East um, tour. I think he's in United Arab Emirates right now. And is that why crude oil is selling off? If anything, I would have thought that that would have been an excuse for crude oil to rally. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. Today is Wednesday, of course, and if we circle back to our econs, I didn't really see because, frankly, like I said, I think I've said this a couple of times this morning. I'm a little bit of a weird frame of mind here today. But, obviously being Wednesday, we have EIA data, Energy Information Administration, and we can see crude oil stocks down 4.6 million barrels. Shouldn't that be bullish? So theoretically, that should be a bullish vote. And now, the question here is, what letter of the alphabet do you see in inventories? Shouldn't that be bullish? If inventories are going down, i.e., supply is fading, shouldn't price be going up? So a little bit of a not a little bit, very odd market state we're in right at the moment. I suppose to make sort of the bullish argument, the bearish argument in energy land, you could point to the fact that gasoline inventories rose dramatically, but this is the middle of the winter. We're not supposed to be puking out here, or no, that's not the right word. We're not supposed to be uber bullish of gasoline. The story goes, you buy your unleaded in the middle of February, because that's usually where the trough is. And you sell it the middle of May, because that's where everybody starts driving again. They made money 9 out of the past 10 years. So this is actually a very sort of anomalous report here today, with crude being off so dramatically and the gasoline inventories being up a fairly sizable amount. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, do we actually have any new letters of the alphabet? Not really. Yes, inventory build in gasoline, but like I said, it's like November, December. This is when inventories are supposed to be high because nobody's driving. It's terrible weather out there. Chris, didn't you say it's horrible weather where you are right now back east? I don't know. We can always check in with Meg. Meg usually is building an igloo in her backyard this time of year.
It's not that bad. We haven't had our first snow yet, so still kind of, getting cold, but not cold enough to where snow's gonna stick on the ground. So that's at least the New York area. Could be different elsewhere.
And Meg, what's I don't know, we don't really need to harass Meg too much, but Meg says we've had a weirdly mild November and early December. Oh, okay. Well, if anything, and I've often said this, the absolute best thing that could possibly happen is for the country of Canada, other than the fact that we got this stupid communist dictator dickhead running our country right now. The absolute best thing that could possibly happen to Canada is global warming. Because I don't know whether you're aware, but like 80-90% of our country is uninhabitable for a huge part of the year. I mean, it's a big country, second largest in the world, but most of it's buried under 100 feet of snow most of the most of the winter. So I don't know. Meg's telling us actually maybe Alberta is going to be a balmy place. Actually, Cotter's just south of her in Montana, and it's Cotter says it's been nice here in Montana this week. So anyway, maybe that's the reason why crude oil prices are dropping, is nobody's buying heating oil. Actually, I don't know. God, I used to always check out heating oil stocks, but I haven't even looked at heating. I don't even think they even report there's heating oil way over there. Yeah, small drawdown, not really that big. But anyway, so is it all Vladdy? Is that what's driving all of this? I mean, I don't know whether it's that big of a deal or not, but it is interesting to see the sort of purchasing managers index report came out for Canada here, slight uptick. So I suppose they're feeling a little bit better about the economy here in Canada. Bank of Canada, of course, left interest rates at 5%, which I think, at the very minimum, we need to try and offset the commies. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, there really isn't any other major econs. Then have some econs that came out first thing this morning. Trade balance. I mean, when the U.S. economy was really booming there a while ago, where this was approaching like $1 trillion a year, I suppose on an annual basis, that's about 640 billion. trade deficit. And really, this is a barometer for, is the US still the world hegemony? So if you actually start seeing this go down, and heaven forbid this actually turn into a trade surplus for the US American market, then it means United States dollar is no longer hegemony. You can see exports 258 billion, imports 323 billion. So the world is still basically exporting into the US market, and that trade deficit is running sort of business as usual. And probably the one thing that will save Canada is the fact that their balance, we should still see a net, inflows to Canada, where we're exporting a lot of commodities. Now, it will be interesting to see what happens to this if crude oil prices fall appreciably, because a huge portion of this, of course, is energy. So anyway, blah blah blah. Your headline there that I showed you earlier, what's sort of driving the market here today. I had sort of, the headline here, private employment rises less than expected. That's what that econ is right there. Is that really that big of a game changer? I don't think so. But at the same time, too, these are actually pretty muted numbers. 100,000. A really, really big jobs report is like a build of like 500,000 jobs. If you see that, it's like, whoa, that's big. So this is sort of like, nah. I suppose one of the, and actually we have been noticing, at least I've been noticing that like Case-Shiller home price index in the States is actually ticking back up. You can see mortgage rates have come off. I think I've shown you this recently, a bit of a V top there in mortgage rates. So, ironically enough, the demand for mortgages and housing, it will actually probably recover a little bit with this drop in mortgage rates. And you can see the 10-year bond interest rates are falling. I've said all along here, I'm not going to believe that this actually has topped until I actually see a structural top. But interestingly enough, on any kind of weakness in those mortgage rates, instantly the buyers come storming right back in. And you can see mortgage applications up 2.8 or 2 point, yeah, two, is that 8? Yeah, 2.8% when previously it was flat. So, this is more sort of anecdotal evidence that there's no way that the Fed can lower interest rates in this kind of environment. As soon as there is any kind of reprieve in sort of the interest rate picture for mortgages, the buyers come storming right back in. And of course, keep in mind, the Finks of the world, they're buying up all of the new houses. And I've told you repeatedly, the number one preferred asset to be invested in right now around the world, it's not China, that's for damn sure. It's not actually even really Canada for that matter. When we look at the capital flows in and out of Canada, capital is leaving Canada right now. But it is U.S. single family homes. That is the absolute most desirable investing asset. And that's probably the one thing that the Fed would like to try and kill is if they can somehow get this housing market to roll back over and sort of go dormant, then they've won their war on this inflation. And I don't think it's over yet. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. Anyway. Okay, so econs wise, not a hell of a lot to get excited about. Stock market wise, it looks like the stocks are a little bit exhausted here. I think that's probably the best word that I would use to describe this. And interesting, if we are going into some sort of deflationary spiral here, energy, of course, is the leading sort of cost for our economy. So, falling energy prices should be deflationary. So if anything, this is the bite that these higher for longer restrictive rates that the Fed's been talking about, it's having its desired effect. The only question I would have here is, what is Vladdy's whole sort of role in this? And I did see the other day that like the leader of Brazil said, Vladdy, don't come to Brazil because we might just have to arrest you because there are international arrest warrants for you. So Vladdy's playing a little bit of brinkmanship here as well, I think, with the world, with his visit to the Middle East. And wouldn't that be ironic if out of nowhere, all of a sudden, he was arrested and thrown in the slammer? I mean, you can't write better fiction than reality. That was always the old adage. And it sure seems like that to me. I don't know why the hell he's taking these kind of chances, but that would be just absolutely poetic if he was arrested while visiting. I get that. And also, if I understand correctly, he wants to go to Saudi Arabia. So this is actually, I really think that this is actually kind of thumbing his nose at Biden. And Biden, of course, has had lots of sort of wranglings with the Saudis. And I think to a certain degree, it's also the Saudis kind of thumbing their nose at Biden as well. So anyway. All right. I certainly don't want to delay Zach's presentation, so we should probably wind this up here. Not a bad idea to pop on over to crypto, take a look at what's going on there. The weekly Bitcoin chart, we had sort of talked about this. No idea which way this was going to go, but at this point, this doji felt like it was kind of like a midpoint consolidation pivot. And it looks to me, to a certain degree, that that's playing itself out. I think I did put tweets out to the effect that, with regard to Bitcoin, both previous cycles that I've participated in this space, the market actually ran up and tagged 61.8 fibs before the halvening event. So in 2015, it tagged it just before the halvening event, and then there was a pullback. In 2019, they ramped up the market very early and tagged that 61.8. And then there was a very substantial pullback. And here we are this particular cycle, and there's 61.8 all the way up at 48,000 and change. So, the tweet I put out was, can we not hit this 61.8? Higher highs and higher lows defines a bull. We had that pretty substantial consolidation through the summer. Of course, Mr. Fink wants his ETF. The U.S. regulators, to a certain degree, I guess CFTC and all, Treasury and all that, are basically Mr. Fink's bitches. And they are sort of cleaning out the crypto space, getting rid of all the undesirables from the space as much as they possibly can, so that Mr. Fink gets his ETF on the spot Bitcoin market. Does that actually represent our sort of catalyst, if you will, for some sort of blow off top? That's how I'm leaning right now. I suppose, we will have our Coinigy show, which we do every second Wednesday this evening, and did ask a couple people from various different parts of the cryptoverse to participate in the call, and they respectfully bowed out, for one reason or another. It doesn't really matter. So it will be Joe and I talking crypto here tonight. And my hunch, of course, is we're probably going to spend a lot of time sort of figuring out where this thing likely will top out. I think I've been saying recently, I had 3 different technical objectives here, and they've all now been hit. So we're kind of in like maybe 7th or 8th inning of this rally off of this consolidation breakout. Is the top, there is that 61.8, so it's not really that far away. We have quite a historic trend line that I think is going to play a bit of a role as a resistance point here in the near term. And kind of like what we saw, I guess it was last cycle. Interesting how this, the 2015 cycle, we went straight up, closed up there, beep, and then boom, straight back down. This particular cycle, the last one, it was just a screaming shooting star rally peak, and then we pulled back. I don't know which way this is going to be, but it's interesting how we had 4669s also up in that area, and we've got this 4669 floating out up in this area as well too. That's probably a juicy liquidity pool that they want to go after. So I don't really see any reason to expect this to stop here, and unless, of course, we get some sort of big blow off top on some sort of announcement that the Bitcoin ETF is now alive or whatever, it's listed or something along those lines. And if anything, what I'm hearing is that what they want to do is they want to just convert that grayscale Bitcoin ETF from over the counter to basically big board listed. So I don't know whether that's the play, but that's probably the catalyst that's going to mark whatever the top here is here. And remember also too, right? This peak right here, this was on the CME listing of Bitcoin futures contracts. So maybe our peak looks straight up, straight down kind of idea on that NYSE listing. And also too, remember ETF listings and stuff. Usually on the actual IPO event, that actually is a profit-taking event for all the people that were trying to pump up and get the actual listing of whatever exchange ETF it was, like the gold market, for example, when they did that. Following the listing, there was a bit of a pause. So my hunch is that this is sort of like buy the rumor and then sell the news. I've said repeatedly, as long as we keep seeing this kind of price action, I don't see a top in the market. And the issue here is that they were just, I mean, I'd probably say like 80, 90% of the space was down at absolutely horrific lows. This is all of 2023, right? 2023 started here. So now that we're up here, is there going to be any tax loss selling to come into the end of the year? I don't think so. Everybody's going to be sitting on capital gains. So as long as I keep seeing these kind of price charts, I can't see a top here just yet. But now that this chart looks like this, can we actually come in and justify buying? And the answer, of course, hopefully you look at this and say, well, no, I can't chase. I'm not allowed to chase. So that's the kind of market state it is. If anything, what you should be trying to do, if you did buy off the bottoms, you can see this one, I bought this particular bottom. It's probably a little bit early, and I didn't add where I was supposed to. I just got lazy and complacent. And now I'm in a bit of a quandary right now where I've been sort of exiled thanks to my communist dictator bastard leader. Most of this crypto space is actually off limits to Canadians. Thanks, commie bastards. So I have a really difficult time trying to in previous cycles, man, I was having so much fun because these were nice, easy exchanges. You could have open orders and it was just so fluid and it was a lot of fun. But I'll tell you, like I was meeting with our CTO here today, Sjord. This little old lady portfolio trying to do this all through DeFi land is very, very difficult. And even at the very top of this rally, like there's my double level at 82. Even right up at the top of this rally, I still would not have been able to book a double because of all the fees that I have to pay in DeFi land. So I've set my alert up top here. If price can get up top here, then in DeFi land, I can actually pay a huge chunk of money to all the DeFi kids and also book my double. But you can see, I mean, on paper, the count's making money, it's up, but I'm having a really, really hard time banging out these doubles. And it's debilitating. I'll admit that. But anyway, is what it is. I mean, you want to take a 30-40% return on your money, fine. But my plan specifically with the little old lady portfolio is to be banging out doubles and triples and quadruples and stuff. So there's really nothing for me to do. I love seeing a chart like this. Looks great. Had lots of people on the site say, hey, I'm banging out doubles. Yeah, thanks for the idea, Brian. Fucking A. But here I am in DeFi land and my hands are tied. And of course, the solution is Stephen over there on the YouTube says is get your ass over to Solana and have fun over there with me. And actually, I think Stephen and I are going to do a little video tutorial on how to get set up on Solana. And maybe that's the solution, Stephen. I don't know. I'll tell you though, I'm a little frustrated by how this whole DeFi experience is going right now. But oh well. I mean, I can't complain. I'm making money. The account balance is going up. I'm doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. Anyway, okay. I don't know whether I gave you any information to work with. Hopefully, I've given you some ideas. I mean, if you do buy stocks, I would take a damn good look at this 3D printing company. That's everything that I teach you guys to look for in stocks. And of course, I think I also showed you David's awesome 3D printing company trade, and he's just laughing right now. And then, as I said, if you want to learn how to spread trade, our level 4 instructor is an absolute whiz at this now. It's great to see him flourishing. Nothing makes me happier than people who have come to me and said, Brian, I'd like to learn how to trade and learn how to make money from trading. I don't really know what I'm doing. And I see them slowly over time become very good traders. And I actually like to sort of promote from within. So the fact that Zack here has fine-tuned his trading skills, he's found what really works for him. He likes what he does, and the proof of the pudding's in the eating. You heard him earlier on. Nothing makes me happier than seeing that, because that's the whole reason why I'm here doing all of this, trying to make a positive difference in your people's lives. And I see that it does work. It's just a question of, do you have the time? Do you have the patience? Do you have the discipline to learn this, get good at it, practice, and just rinse and repeat and just keep coming back and doing the same thing day in, day out. So with that said, let's pop on over to Zach's world and learn a little bit about spread trading and what the level 4 program has in store for us here. Slow and steady wins a race. All right. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins a race. I think I'm going to go after I'm done, hop back into bed and try and get rid of this chill. But I hope you guys all have yourselves a great rest of your day. All the best. Bye for now.